to another edition. It's episode 4, Pillar to Post, here on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. Mike Gill rolling solo as tonight Tom Morgan's on vacation, but we got a special guest tonight, and we are joined by one of the former members of the WWE creative team. Going to talk a whole heck of a lot about what's going on now, what he did then, and a whole heck of a lot leading up to Fastlane and Wrestlemania. Former member of the WWE creative team, Andrew Goldstein, is with us here, filling in for Tom Morgan. And Andrew, we appreciate you jumping on board. I can't wait for the next 15, 20 minutes or so to talk some wrestling with you.
Let's do it, Mike Gill. Are you any relation to Dwayne Gill, a.k.a. Gilbert?
I had a streak going for a little while, but no, we are no relation. We are no relation. Hey, man, we're looking forward to it because this time of the year, this is like, we're in the season. This is like the Super Bowl season of wrestling for the casual fans. This is where they come back. If you could, Andrew, just fill the people in on, I say former creative team member. Can you kind of give people a little background on what you did, what your role was with the WWE when you were there?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll go even farther back and let you know I'm a wrestling fan of almost 30 years. Grew up in Philadelphia and moved to New York after college. I went to Temple University, moved to New York after college, and just off of a job website, which, you fill out, you send your resume on a job website, you never hear back. But I saw WWE was looking for creative team members, and this is around 2004, 2005. I sent my resume, and I heard right back. And long story short, I ended up there, which was sort of like being being the bat boy on your favorite baseball team. I was like in the mix with it. I'm in a room with Dusty Rhodes and Michael P.S. Hayes and Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, Brother Love, and a bunch of TV nerds like me, and thrown right into the fire. And yeah, I worked on Raw, SmackDown, and ECW at the time. I was mostly focused on SmackDown, and you would travel Monday, Tuesday, travel home Wednesday. You'd be in the office Thursday and Friday, and then maybe you'd have a day off Saturday, and then Sunday, if there was a pay-per-view, you were back on Vince's jet, flying to whatever city, in the arena all day, producing the pay-per-view, and then it starts all over again with Raw and SmackDown and the whole thing. So it was a whirlwind. I was there for almost a year in 2006, 2007, got fired right before the Royal Rumble, so right around this time. And like you said, man, this is the road to WrestleMania. This is the time when all the casual fans come back. This is their prime booking season when all the big angles come to a head. And, yeah, man, it's the Super Bowl.
Well, let's talk about this then, Andrew, because obviously you worked in a little bit different era. Not the Attitude Era, not quite the Miz era, which might have been the worst era of wrestling there. However, right now we kind of have this reality type of era where if the fans don't like what's going on, and that's where I kind of got a chance to see what you were doing at JR's show. He was the MC for that day, and I said, man, this would be a great guy to pick his brain on some of these things. The night in Philly, Royal Rumble, I was there, you were there, the place boos. Does the WWE, in your opinion then, change the script? Do they rip it up and start over because of the fan reaction?
Yeah, man, look, there's precedent starting last year where they ripped up the script leading into WrestleMania, and they put Daniel Bryan in not one but two matches, and that was not the plan. For all the rumors say that wasn't what the plan was. And then here we are again, same thing, Royal Rumble. Fans are disappointed at the use of Daniel Bryan in the actual Royal Rumble match. It's almost a carbon copy of what happened last year. And if you believe internet rumors, Vince McMahon just this week changed the main event for WrestleMania, which has been in stone, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Now it looks as if it's going to be Daniel Bryan inserted into that match, making it a three-way. So, like you said, the reality era is off and running because the fans have more of a say than they ever have. They know everything that's going on backstage, and they feel like they can influence change just by the way they change, the way they boo and cheer. And you saw that Royal Rumble night. I could not believe the reaction they gave to Rocky, who is, he's the Hulk Hogan of the Attitude Era, and they're booing the guy standing next because he's giving the rub to Roman Reigns. So that was really a sort of pendulum shift in modern wrestling.
Real quick, since you mentioned Hogan, I do a WWE Network shout-out of what to watch. I watched last night The Rise and Fall of AWA, Vern Gagne, so check that out on the network.
DVD.
Awesome.
Phenomenal
Check that
DVD.
out, everybody. It's a lot of Hogan in his early years, wearing a terrible pair of glasses, by the way. Did he wear them in the ring? That was awful. But let me ask you this, then. You were a writer. Do you like this? I mean, they must come in on Monday. Well, by the way, let me ask you this. Do you think that helped them by getting snowed out on Monday night? Was that something they were like, thank God that saved us?
I don't think they were saying, thank God that saved us. I think it was a blessing in disguise because they never, ever have the opportunity to take 2 weeks to write a Monday Night Raw. In fact, and from my experience, Raws are written and changed and written and rewritten right up until bell time and even after bell time. I've seen it with my own eyes. So for them to have 2 weeks to put a story together and sort of reboot based off of the crowd reaction at the Royal Rumble, I mean, that's an anomaly. That never has to happen. So maybe they were saying thank God, but I think more so for just casual viewers, it's just that never happened. I don't think they knew what to do with their time.
Do you like the fact that they're changing this on the fly in terms of, for years, it's been the Royal Rumble winner. You're the main event. That's it. You don't get that taken away. To me, the next Monday, Reigns, they come up with this thing. I'm waiting for him to say, well, what if I say no? What are you going to do? I mean, I can suspend disbelief, but at that point, I'm like, just say no. I'm not going to take your deal. I won. What are you going to do about it? And,
exactly. Logic dictates that the dude would have taken, said, to hell with you guys. I want my match that I'm contractually obligated to have. But, it's wrestling and they're telling a story. They can do whatever they want. But to me, the whole fan interaction thing, this whole activist fan movement last year and this year, to me, especially this year, it's like the whole Ricky Williams, Donovan McNabb draft all over again. It's like, it's like the fans want Daniel Bryan, they want Ricky Williams, but the company, the people in charge, want to give them something else. So I think it's a little bit of. I just wish fans would sort of sit on their hands a little bit. I'm old school, so I like people to have natural reactions. I don't like the chanting. I don't like fans trying to make themselves part of the story. That's like a big pet peeve of mine. So to be there live at the Rumble this year in Philadelphia, obviously it's a heel town. Philadelphia is a heel crowd that booed Santa Claus, that whole deal. But,
although that night, canceled WWE Network is trending on Twitter, which means people outside of Philly were not happy either.
Yeah, the best part of that was the next day, what did Vince McMahon do? He released to the media that they had crossed a million subscribers because Vince always wins. Never bet against Vince McMahon.
Andrew, let me ask you this then. Do you like this story? It feels like I'm watching the same damn thing, and that's kind of, I can't say I'm the biggest Daniel Bryan guy. I understand it. He's the little guy, and everybody cheers for him. He's great in the ring. But, quite frankly, I can only suspend disbelief so long to think he can beat Brock Lesnar. That's kind of my problem. But it feels like they just went right back to the same thing. All right, let's just write this. It worked last year. Let's try it again. I'm not buying it.
It's so interesting. If you watched Raw last night, the yes chants were not overwhelming. It was the first time that I can think of, and I think they were in Columbus, Ohio. The yes chants were I would say 60% of the arena. So I think there might be some fatigue with Daniel Bryan.
Interesting.
And obviously and you look at Roman Reigns, now he's sort of going down the road of being a heel, and all of a sudden I start liking him again. I mean, all of his facials in the ring, all of his physicality, it's all heel stuff. I mean, he spent the whole match last night on the floor, which is a heel move, let the tag team partner, so I think they're slowly trying to reposition all of these guys because obviously it didn't work positioning Roman Reigns as the John Cena, world beater. But yeah, I mean, you really do have to suspend disbelief to think Daniel Bryan could even, get a punch in on Brock Lesnar. It's like, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
let's one of my favorite Nintendo games of all time. Let's look at this then. Obviously, they're going to have this match at Fastlane. What is your thought of the reason they decide to put them in this match together? Is this for Reigns ultimately to go over and fully turn heel? Is that the way this maps out to you?
It looks that way. I mean, the best thing in the world, just for me, because I'm against this sort of fan activism, fans having a voice. It would be amazing if they just booked it so Roman Reigns just completely squashes Daniel Bryan, and it would just stick it to, almost like trolling the fans. But I don't know if they'll do it. I don't know if they'll go that far, but where they go from it, I don't think the match ends clean, first of all. And second of all, I think some kind of craziness happens at the end, a schmaz as they call it, and that's what leads us into the triple threat at WrestleMania. And one thing I should say is I think if that's the triple threat that they're giving us at WrestleMania, it sounds like a good match, but I think they're missing the triple threat that should be at WrestleMania, in my opinion, which is the Shield three-way for the title.
A lot of people looking for it.
Rollins, if you put that title on Seth Rollins coming out of, that awesome triple threat at the Royal Rumble, and then you go triple threat at WrestleMania with the three members of the Shield, I mean, that's money they left on the table when they broke those guys up. They never had that match. And obviously, there's time down the road to have that match, but, man, I think that's the money match. And then you could have Bryan versus Brock without the title, and so on and so on and so on with fantasy booking. But that's just my take on it. But I think they're going to – some kind of screwy finish is going to happen. Okay, let's look at some of the other things, Andrew.
Sting last night. Obviously, that wasn't the real Sting in the ring, but a pretty cool moment. I think it might have been Mizdow. He's doing such a good job playing everybody else. It was probably him out there. What do you think? This feels very 1997. I mean, Sting just kind of not saying anything. I think they're doing a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, the WWE version of WCW Sting it has been really cool to watch. I mean, obviously they do the music and the graphic package better, and the way they're presenting Sting. To me, this whole Sting story has been evidence that the WWE does plan long term. A big complaint online is that WWE hotshots every single angle, but this is evidence. I mean, we've had a long, drawn-out story of Sting showing up and screwing Triple H, time in, time out, and here we go. Now it's ramping up, and now he calls him out. And that's a reason to tune into this otherwise sort of weird, shoehorn pay-per-view Fastlane. I want to tune in just to see what the Sting Triple H stare down is going to be like. So
he accepted the challenge to accept his challenge.
Yeah, exactly. That's like such wrestling.
I accept to stand in your face at Fastlane. Yeah, he's a very interesting character. There's a lot of, what's going on, in your opinion, with Orton?
So I write a column every once in a while for pwmania.com, and my fantasy booking of WrestleMania was to bring Randy Orton back as this sort of Austin-esque because last time we saw Randy Orton, he was, he was turned on by the entire authority, beat down and made to run off and leave the company. So to have him come back and say, I'm back and I'm going to make your lives a living hell, and I'm going to achieve everything that you guys said I couldn't achieve on my own, I'm going to do. And then you have Orton wrestle Brock for the title at WrestleMania, which I think would be an incredible match. Obviously, that's not the direction they're going. I don't know what they're doing, holding Randy Orton back. I expected him to be in the Rumble. That didn't happen. I think, to be honest, he comes back in the next couple of weeks, and we get Rollins versus Orton at WrestleMania. Without Orton, who else, where else do you pair Seth Rollins?
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are they going to do with Rollins even in Fastlane? I mean, obviously he got himself into some trouble. I don't know that that's going to make them pull him out for this pay-per-view with these pictures or anything. But, I mean, he has no there's no solid match for him yet right now either, with Bryan being in the main event.
He got in a little Brett Favre situation. but they could punish him by sort of not having him work on the pay-per-view, miss out on that pay-per-view check, and sort of give that to the people out there that think he should be punished, just so they can salvage having him at WrestleMania, because he's the top heel in the company besides Brock. So you got to have him at WrestleMania. You can't punish him too hard. It was out of his control if he actually was hacked. So I don't know where you go with Seth Rollins at Fastlane, but I will tell you, I would think he might be involved in the finish of Daniel Bryan versus. Got
to do something with that briefcase, right? He's got to do something soon with that thing.
Absolutely.
Last two, real fast. Heyman,
Sure.
What's his story? What's going to happen with him? Is he going to be with Brock, or do you think he ends up turning on him?
Well, first of all, Paul Heyman is the best. He's the best guy off camera. He's the evil genius of wrestling. He's obviously poetic and incredible on camera. Every time he touches the microphone, it's must-see TV. He crushed it on the Snowed-In show, and then he crushed it last night with his promo. He's sort of single-handedly built Roman Reigns back up this whole story. So he's the best, and whether Brock goes away and goes back to MMA does not mean we're going to lose Paul Heyman, because he's such an asset to the company. I think Paul Heyman will go forward and be stuck with somebody new and make that person just as incredible. But if Brock stays, even better, because the two of them together, with Brock not saying a word and Paul being his advocate, is just
awesome.
In a long 3-hour show, it's always the part where you turn the volume up and you stop looking at your laptop and you actually pay attention.
Last guy is Cena. Everybody has been wanting him to turn, and they've been tired of him for years and years and years. He's the cash cow. He's fighting for the U.S. Championship. Is this them finally acknowledging that we are moving on from John Cena?
Dude, it's a great question. I mean, look at last night. I don't know if you saw what I tweeted today, but I just could not believe last night that they actually had him verbalize that he's the, quote, old guy now. Like, that's part of the story, that Cena's the old guy and he should be taken out back and put to rest. Like that, 8 years ago when I was at WWE, I would never, if I even put the word old in a John Cena promo or a John Cena story, Vince McMahon would have stabbed me with his pencil in my eye. Like, so to me, I think it's a complete paradigm change of how they're booking John Cena. This is sort of like, the end, sort of the tail end of Hulk Hogan's run, when they sort of let him walk away and let, opened it up for other guys to take his place. But, Cena's always been ageless. He's always been booked as this ageless, world beater, Super Cena. So for them to even acknowledge that he's getting old and that he's been here for 13 years is just, mind-blowing to me.
Well, people have been waiting for him to turn. Do you think it ever happens?
This is the first step. I think if they're acknowledging that he's old and they're knocking him down to a U.S. title match, obviously Rusev is this undefeated, monster. But I think this could be hopefully the first step, because they do have this roster of guys. Daniel Bryan's selling T-shirts and Brock is selling T-shirts, and all these. Hopefully Reigns will get to a point where they can bank on him and have enough cash in the bank that they can let Cena go be a heel, because it has to happen. If it isn't late already, it has to happen. I mean, look what it did for Hogan's career.
Andrew Goldstein, a former creative member of the WWE. It's been great, just throwing some little nuggets out here and there. We got to do it more often, and obviously as Mania gets up, the interest is so high, especially now. And, are we getting out of that era where they need the part-timers, the Jerichos, the Rocks, these guys to come back and help them with WrestleMania? Maybe not this year. They got to sell 100,000 seats next year. You might see those guys next year come back, but, this year you might not see those guys come back. So this one should be all on the, this current roster, save for Triple H and Sting, probably two part-timers who are going to get it on at WrestleMania.
I'm hoping next year in Dallas we get Steve Austin one last match in big old Texas Stadium. I think that's the hope of every wrestling fan. So fingers crossed on that one. But I think you're right. After next year, I think it's really on the current stars and left on the retread, Attitude Era guys. because they're really getting old.
Yeah, man.
Really getting up there.
Wow, and a lot of those guys, you're right, Triple H, I mean, he said the other day, hey, I'm still doing it, but I look, you're looking, he's in his 40s, Sting's, 50-something. These guys can't keep going out there and giving you 5-star matches all the time. At some point, they got to hand the main event over to these guys, and I think you're starting to see them finally get away, and you wonder how much influence, because when you were there, I'm sure it's a lot different than what it is now with Triple H maybe having a 5% influence on Vince.
Yeah, I mean, dude, tomorrow night on the network, NXT, that their big, one of their big, quote unquote, not pay-per-views, but their big, monthly, bi-monthly shows. You're going to see the next generation of guys and what a roster they have.
Best show on TV.
Stars. So that's going to be on the network tomorrow night, the big NXT special. So, with Triple H in charge, that's the future is really in good hands. If you look at NXT and you look at the roster they have now, they just have to commit to a handful of guys and really consistently book these guys and stop booking them 50-50 every, one Raw they win a match, the next Raw they lose a match, the next Raw they're a good guy, the next Raw they're a bad guy. They really got to stick to a plan with a nice core of these guys, and they really will be in business once really they, Cena is not the top guy.
All right, Andrew, I enjoyed it so much. We tape on Tuesdays. This will drop on Wednesday. Every Wednesday, Pillar to Post will drop. And Shawn Michaels will be on next week, so look for that. Yes. And Andrew, hopefully we can talk again and get our audience out there ready for a great WrestleMania season.
Listen, pre-WrestleMania, I'll come down to Atlantic City. We'll get some cheesesteaks from White House, and we'll talk wrestling. RASSLIN.
Anytime, man, and we'll hit the whole circuit. We'll do the White House, we'll hit the city, and make it a whole night of wrestling. All right, buddy.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
You got it. There's Andrew Goldstein, the former WWE creative writer here on Pillar to Post. I'm Mike Gill. Morgan will be back next week with Shawn Michaels, everybody. Make sure you're a part of that. We'll talk to you right here on the WWE Pillar to Post show on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. Hit the button right up here somewhere to subscribe for each week's show. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.